Welcome to Columbia, South Carolina, where the sun never sets on the horizon, and neither does the excitement. But hey, at least there are plenty of parking spots available. From the vibrant nightlife scene in the Vista to the historic architecture of downtown, Columbia has something for everyone. Or at least, that's what they say. But don't worry, we've got some insider tips on where to find the real excitement. Welcome to the South Carolina State House, where our politicians come to make decisions that will affect the entire state, or so they claim. In reality, it's just an excuse for them to get free meals and use the fancy restrooms. The building itself is quite impressive, with a beautiful rotunda and stunning views of the city from the top floor. But let's be real, the real highlight of the visit is the gift shop. You can buy all sorts of souvenirs, including keychains, t-shirts, underwear, and even a replica of the state flag. Just don't forget to take a photo in front of the monument dedicated to the Confederate soldiers who died fighting for the right to own slaves. It's a real trip back in time. The Columbia River is home to many important landmarks, including the remains of the old textile mill, where they used to dye their shirts in the blood of young workers. Yes, it's that kind of place. But don't let that scare you off. The river itself is actually quite beautiful, with plenty of walking trails and picnic spots. And if you're feeling adventurous, you can even rent a kayak or paddleboard and explore the surrounding wetlands. Just be careful not to get too close to the edge, or you might just end up in the drink. The Vista is a trendy neighborhood filled with hipsters and their overpriced coffee shops. It's like a scene straight out of Portland, but without the rain or the decent public transportation. But hey, at least it's got some good food and drink options. You can grab a slice of pizza at one of the many pizzerias, or stop by the local brewery for a cold beer. Just don't forget to wear your hipster glasses, and try not to look too out of place. Concerts at the Township Auditorium. This historic theater is the perfect place to see your favorite bands and pretend you're cool for a few hours. Just don't try to start a mosh pit, or you'll end up getting kicked out. But hey, at least it's got some good acoustics and comfortable seating. And if you're lucky, you might even get to meet the band after the show. Just don't ask them for an autograph on your vinyl records. They probably won't have any. The South Carolina State Museum. This place is packed with artifacts that'll make you feel like you just tripped and fell straight into a history book. But hey, at least it's air-conditioned and free. Unless you get a little too handsy with the exhibits, then it might cost you, probably in both money and side eyes from the staff. The displays are actually pretty cool. Everything from dinosaurs, big, bitey lizards, to the Civil War, less fun than dinosaurs, to the state's history, surprisingly dramatic. Just don't expect any high-tech button-smashing VR experiences. This museum keeps things old school, just like the artifacts. The Riverbanks Zoo. This is where they keep all the animals that are way too wild for your average petting zoo, you know. The ones with sharp teeth, claws, and a general dislike for being cuddled. The enclosures are actually pretty nice though. You'll see everything from mischievous monkeys to towering giraffes to lions that are definitely judging you. Just don't forget your sunscreen. It gets hot out there. You might want to bring a knife, as the animals frequently escape. Just last year, a monkey attacked an elderly lady while she was eating a tuna salad. Columbia's nightlife is alive and kicking, packed with bars, clubs, chubs, whatever those are, and plenty of spots to make questionable decisions. Just double-check the address before you go, or you might end up in a sketchy parking lot wondering where it all went wrong. On the bright side, the drink specials are solid. Whether you're feeling classy with a fancy cocktail or embracing your inner college student with a cheap beer, there's something for everyone. Just a word of advice: if you think about dancing, reconsider. Your dignity will thank you in the morning. The Columbia Museum of Art. This place is home to some of the most awe-inspiring, or, depending on your caffeine intake, nap-inducing art you've ever seen. But hey, At least it's free, and they've thoughtfully provided plenty of benches for your inevitable existential crisis or quick power nap. The exhibits actually cover quite a range, from Renaissance masterpieces to modern installations that will either blow your mind or leave you wondering if you too could become a famous artist with a pile of random objects. Just don't come expecting action-packed thrills unless you count the dramatic stare-downs between security guards and people who stand way too close to the paintings. The State Farmers Market. This is where all the locals come to stock up on fresh produce and test their bargaining skills against vendors who have seen it all. Just don't forget to bring your wallet and a sense of humor, because those price tags might just make you laugh or cry. On the bright side, the food options are solid. Whether you're craving a fresh bag of fruit, beaver legs, or a slice of pie that's almost worth the markup, there's something for everyone. Just do yourself a favor, don't ask about the prices. Ignorance is bliss. And that $7 tomato definitely tastes better if you don't think about it too hard. The Columbia Canal, where history meets whatever's currently floating downstream. This historic waterway is basically the final resting place for the city's waste, but hey, it's technically still good for fishing. If you're into catching things that glow in the dark and smell like regret, but don't let that scare you off. The canal is actually pretty scenic, with lovely walking trails and perfect picnic spots. Just maybe don't drop your sandwich. Just don't forget your rubber boots. You never know what historical artifact you might accidentally step in. The Vista lights. The city's attempt to make the neighborhood look more charming, but let's be real, they mostly just make it look like a never-ending disco party. Not that we're complaining, who doesn't love a little accidental Studio 54 energy while walking down the street? But hey, they're still pretty cool. Snap a photo, strike a pose, or even bust out a spontaneous dance move under the glow. Just don't forget your platform shoes, or risk looking like the only one at the party who didn't get the memo. The South Carolina Botanical Garden, home to some of the rarest and most exotic plants you've ever seen, and about 1 million bugs that are very excited to meet you, and maybe take a little nibble off your teats. But don't let that scare you off. The garden is actually stunning, with gorgeous walking trails, peaceful picnic spots, and just enough fresh air to make you consider moving off the grid. Just don't forget your bug spray, unless you enjoy being an all-you-can-eat buffet for mosquitoes. The Columbia Metropolitan Convention Center. This is where all the big conventions roll into town. From the epic world of Comic-Con to the thrill-a-minute annual meeting of the National Association of Accountants. Yep, it's that exciting. But hey, at least the food options are decent. Whether you're in the mood for a greasy slice of pizza or a sad bag of overpriced poop, there's something for everyone. Just don't ask about the prices. $10 for a bottled water is just part of the convention experience. The Riverwalk, a scenic spot where locals come to take a stroll, have a picnic, or allegedly get ambushed by a gang of rebellious teenagers. Just kidding, it's actually pretty safe, unless you count aggressive squirrels eyeing your snacks. But hey, it's got plenty of benches and picnic tables. Snap a selfie by the river, enjoy a peaceful walk, or even take a little nap. Just don't forget your sunscreen. Nothing ruins a relaxing day like going home looking like a lobster. The South Carolina State Library, home to some of the most riveting books you'll ever come across if your idea of a page-turner is tax law. But hey, at least it's got plenty of comfy chairs perfect for a nap or reading something actually exciting, like the back of a cereal box. But don't let that discourage you. The library's got a ton of study rooms and research materials that'll make you feel like a genius, or at least like you're trying really hard. Just don't forget your headphones, because the sound of silence is only peaceful if you can avoid the sound of your own thoughts. The Columbia Fireflies. This is where the locals gather to enjoy some classic minor league baseball and wash it down with cheap beer, because nothing says America like underdog teams and overpriced concessions. Just don't forget your sun hat, or you'll be rocking a lobster look by the 5th inning. But hey, the food options aren't half bad. You can grab a hot dog or a bag of peanuts, depending on whether you're feeling fancy or nostalgic. Just don't ask about the prices unless you're in the mood for some emotional whiplash when you see what you're paying for a Coke. The South Carolina Confederate Relic Room, home to relics from the Civil War, including battle flags and muskets, because who doesn't love staring at a bunch of old stuff that's, historically significant, but mostly just gathering dust? But hey, at least you'll get a good history lesson. You can dive into the war's significance and maybe even feel like you've learned something important. Just don't forget your moral compass. Some of the history you'll come across might leave you questioning your life choices or wondering why this is still a thing. The Columbia Marionette Theater. This place used to be home to some of the most talented puppeteers in town now. It's mostly just strings and sticks moving around like they're still in their prime. But hey, at least it's got entertainment. You can sit back and watch a show, or if you're feeling brave, try operating a puppet yourself. Just hope it doesn't get its own ideas. Just don't forget your sense of humor because, let's face it, sometimes the real star of the show is the puppet that refuses to cooperate. The South Carolina State Museum's Butterfly Garden, home to some of the most beautiful butterflies you'll ever see if you can manage to spot one through the swarm of screaming children and strollers racing by. But hey, it's got great photo opportunities. You can snap a picture in front of the garden or even try your luck at catching one of the butterflies. Just don't expect it to be as easy as a butterfly whisperer. Just don't forget your bug spray because the butterflies aren't the only ones out to get you. Finally, climb aboard the Cacaboose Railroad, where the only thing hotter than the southern heat is what's happening inside. This isn't your average train ride. It's a full-blown party on wheels, where the only rules are to let loose and see where the night takes you. The Cacaboose cars, once reserved for University of South Carolina fans, now serve as the ultimate mobile sex party, complete with surprises at every stop. And we're not just talking about the scenery. So, grab a drink, find a cozy spot, and don't forget to wave at the poor souls stuck in traffic. They'll never get to experience the wild ride you're on. So there you have it, Columbia, South Carolina. Whether you're here for a weekend getaway or somehow end up staying forever, one thing's for sure, you'll leave with unforgettable memories, a questionable amount of whiskey in your system, and, if you're not careful, a sunburn that'll have you questioning your life choices. See you soon. If you can still walk straight,